Morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Mornings with Megs. Welcome to Monday. We've got a little bit of a different show for us this morning. We're going to be chit-chatting all about being mindful. And I don't know if you guys realize, obviously, but we're over literally the first half of the year. We're officially in the second half of the year. So if you look back at your first half of the year and you're like, okay, it's not really the vibe that I was going for, we have the opportunity to change it now, which is the most important thing. So let me tell you what we're getting into this today, because this one's going to be a super juicy episode. No, like if I had $1 for every time I said that word recently, I would be very wealthy, I think. Anyway, okay, so wherever you are right now, I want to just get you to just stop and just take a minute. And I feel like, I know I'm feeling puffed out right now. Like I feel like I just want to like breathe. So we just breathe in and out and just take a second for our nervous system just to reset and just to like choose and just to be in the moment of just like I can just let go. Like even when I go like that, like my fingers just feel like really good. Okay, welcome to my Gold Coast office, by the way. My Gold Coast studio, I should say. I have done the absolute most this weekend to ensure that this space was set up and ready, because Fridays was great, but it was super echoey and it just wasn't it. I wanted to make sure that when you listen to this, that it is a really good, quality recording, and, it just wasn't. So I have, like, if I could show you, I'll put a photo up of my view of what I'm actually looking at right now, because I have like feng shui the hell out of this corner, and it's so funny because obviously I'm staying with one of my friends, and he, I, he originally had another room because it's a 3-bedroom apartment, and he originally had another room. And that was the room I would stay in. But then he got another housemate. And then I'm like, oh, that's so annoying. But this room has literally like this nook where it was like perfectly cut out, where it's completely separate from the actual room. So I can have all of my studio in here. And it's actually perfect. So, again, there's always reasons for everything happening. Okay. When I tell you this weekend was wild, like it is wild. And I'm going to hopefully from that give you some things that I learnt and things that have stuck in my head. And I'm obviously in the transition of potentially moving to the Gold Coast, and I am going through all the things to move here. And the second that I was like, well, actually, no, I'm just going to stop myself there, because I actually want to come back to this story, because I saw a psychic on the weekend, and like when I tell you this was the weirdest thing in the world, it was like the most bizarre experience. So let me get to the show first, and then I will tell you my crazy experience with the psychic. Okay. I found us a mantra and then my intention for the week, because I went and watched my my cousin and 3 of his friends run the Gold Coast Marathon. And like by watch, I was at like one of the checkpoints. I was at the 36-kilometer mark. And like it was so easy for me, knowing what I'm like, to get swept up. And I was like, all of a sudden I was like, I have a whole last year to train for this. Like, how cool would it be to be like, you know, now, don't worry, I've already checked myself. I've already, by the way, contacted a singing coach, and we've been emailing backwards and forwards. So I'm going to have an update for you on follow through Friday with mum. Anyway, so I really just want to make sure when you're choosing goals for your life that they are your goals and they are coming from your heart and your mind and things that make you happy, as opposed to something you've seen somebody else do and you think it may feel a certain way. Okay. Now, if I can't learn that from a marathon, I will not be able to learn it from anything. So let's not. Now, I'm also going to run you through a bit of like a halfway reset for the year. And then also kind of talk about, and I don't do this, right? Because I am not like an astrologer, I'm like a whatever. I am none of those things. However, I find it fascinating to know, like, with the energy in the sky and the astrology and the whatever, like, to see what things are actually doing, like what energies are in the air and like what it's good for and like what I find useful. Now, whether you believe this or not, this regardless, like I still think we can all take something from, you know, working with what's going on energetically, because if we can't get an extra boost just because like this is what the energy is doing, then like why not? So that's what I look at. I like to look at all the things. Okay. Yay. All right, let's start. Excuse me. Let's start with the halfway reset. So, as I said, as of the weekend, 2026 is officially more than half over. Now, before you're like, and you know what? I find this when you're making small talk, and I think I noticed this when I was in the elevator at the building, because like you when you're in an elevator with some like random person you're never going to see again, right? And it's like you want to be friendly because they've made conversation with you, whatever. And like the first two go-tos I've noticed of mine are, oh, the weather today, and also like, oh god, I can't believe it's already July. Okay, so I've used them twice in my elevator escapades, as I will call them. So I think it was it was yesterday. And there was this couple, like this older couple, and they got in the elevator and they were like, oh my God, it's so cold. And I was like, what? I was like, I thought they were like being sarcastic. And they're like, no, we're from up north. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I was like, well, I'm from down south and this shit is perfect for me. So I was just like, it's wild, our different perceptions on everything. But it just made me think when I do, like when you throw out comments like, oh, the weather and like, oh, this or like, oh, that, like it's the wildest thing. And we do it so unconsciously. And it's just the most boring thing you could probably talk about. Now, again, some people is like serendipitous fate that you use like sliding doors moment that you like bump into them in the elevator. And then others are just like, you know what, that was a really lovely couple. I feel good for putting on a smile on my face and being approachable and friendly that day. So let's talk about the science saying that this is the single best week of the year to restart anything. Like, how fun. So, research published in the Management Science on the fresh start effect found people are significantly more likely to pursue goals right after temporal landmarks, okay, which is obvious. Like, we've got our New Year's, our birthdays, our holidays, because the landmark files past failures under the old me. The year's halfway point is one of the most potent landmarks there is. It's just so interesting, isn't it? Because we'll look at the previous year version of ourselves, like a 2025 me or the whatever. But when you're in the same year, like I think it just works differently. Okay. So habits researcher Gretchen Rubin marks halfway day every year. The year's literal midpoint fell last Thursday, 2nd of July, as a formal check-in to keep, adjust, or consciously drop each goal. So again, I'm all about goal setting until it doesn't align with you anymore. If it doesn't align with you anymore, like we're not doing it. Success and other outlets ran mid-year reset guides this week. The shared point, unlike January, mid-year resets are built on 6 months of real data about which goals actually energized you versus which you set because you felt you should. That resonates so much with me. Mid-year is also culturally quiet. Okay, so there's not like new year, new me kind of thing. There's no gym in January pressure. So goals are now more likely to be genuinely yours. So if this isn't a perfect time to do it, we're in a brand new week, we're at the halfway mark of the year, like I don't know what is. So I wanted to do like this whole reinvention before I turned 38 this year, because if you've heard me talk about how hard life's been, in particular last 18 months with my endo and stuff like that, had my hysterectomy, I'm out here doing life differently and stuff. And what I actually have come to understand is that I was like, I should just be able to do this stuff. Like I should just be motivated to do this and should be, but the way that my brain and my mind works, like I just have to have pressure put on me to do stuff. And I seem to hate it, but at the same time, it actually is what motivates me to go and move. And if I've got time and space to do things, it will take me that time and space to do the things, right? I was a classic for it in school. I would literally procrastinate, put everything off to the last second, and then I would submit it. Now, I did once because and I remember this so clearly. I think I was in like year 10 or 11. And year 11, my mother will attest to this, is the year that I just decided I hated school, right? I was like a straight A student for like a good semester there. And I don't know, I can't remember, like year 9 or whatever. Anyway, year 10, I was like, started to meet some people. And then year 11, I was like, I just want to have a social life. I just am not interested in this whatsoever. So then I became like a real C grade student. Anyway, here we are. Life's worked out perfectly. So there was, and I forget the teacher's name, but I just remember this so potently, is that he said to me, we're going to do like a midpoint check-in because this is due at the end of the semester and it's a massive part to you. And it was just social studies, right? So this is actually something I was interested in. So in my head, I was like, oh, I could write this in my sleep. Like, don't worry about me. Anyway, he insisted on having this midpoint check-in. And then, so I had this midpoint check-in. So I knew that I had that to at least do half of it. Now, the problem was because I am better at starting and finishing things and not kind of like going through the process of starting and then reinventing and then like doing something differently, right? It was awful because I got to the end of that project and I was like, I don't like this doesn't make sense. And he said to me, he's like, you've actually contradicted yourself in this piece. And I was like, well, like and again, I didn't say this because I was such a good girl in school, but I was like, well, bro, you made me do it your way and it's not like the way that I do things. Like again, I like if you let me do things the way, and you know what, I'm dying to see what school's going to be like in like 10 years. We have done so much acceptance around the way that children learn, and we've done so much change in like the ways in which you can work with different behavioral things that we deal with and different whatever. So I'm so excited to see in the next like wave of children how much better we are going to be at supporting the way that these kids learn, because I know that it was like one, and I have these real clear memories of like the ADHD kids and the whatever. And if you looked at our learning patterns and our behaviors, I think I taught myself how to become a good student. And I think it was purely because of my people pleasing tendencies. Like I wanted to be the one that could then go home and tell her parents that she was, doing this and do it. Like that actually served me more than like the award itself, because the award itself had nothing to me. I was like, yeah, sick, whatever. But the fact that I could go home and tell my parents, like, I've got this, and like now I'm doing this, and like now whatever. And again, now this is like no shade throwing on anything like that. But when you see your parents react so proudly and then go and tell all their friends about you and make a whole big thing, in my head, I think I was like addicted to that. I was like, I need more of this. And I think I continually outperformed myself purely because and I was not conscious of this. Like when I was like 5 years old or whatever, 5, however old I was. I don't think that matters. Anyway, and then, I just have like vivid memories of growing up as a kid and like asking my mum questions or like showing my mum something, and she would actually say things like, oh my God, like you're so smart for already asking me that and stuff. And I was like, yes, this is how we get approval. Right now, again, my mum would probably be my alibi if I commit a murder. However, I wanted to always, outperform and outshine and outdo all of the things because I loved being my mum's, smart kid and my dad's, very good athlete and all of the things. So it is. And now the reason I'm going to this is because I'm going to run through something with you to define whether your goals are yours. And it took a Gold Coast marathon yesterday for me to actually wrap my head around this and actually be like, okay, I don't really want to do that. Like, not just because I saw everybody vomiting on the side of the road, my cousin included. Anyway, so let's talk about a bit of a reset this week. So if you set a goal in January, you are allowed to quit today, guilt-free. And like, I want you to actually think about what you will do with that energy. Instead of being like, oh, I said I was going to lose X amount of kilos, or I said I was going to quit drinking, or I said I was going to whatever it is. Okay, we're going to throw that guilt out the window. It just isn't aligned with us anymore. Obviously, if there is a goal that you can take measurable steps to move towards, and this is exactly what Mum's talking about on Follow Through Fridays, is the, definition and the like work through of goals. If it's not your vibe, and I want you just to throw it away. Don't even think about it. There is no guilt here. Guilt is the lowest vibration. Like, we're not into that. So and I want you to think, like, what did the first half of 2026 teach you about yourself that in January that you didn't know? Okay, you're coming into the rest of this year with like a 6 months like head start on whatever. Now, if I don't know who in like developed the concept of time and who invented calendars and stuff like that, but it's a man-made construct, right? Like the seasons just come and go and whatever. Like nature and birds and like wild animals aren't that out there abiding by times of the day. Now, my dog Prada, she was like a walking alarm clock because I knew when she wanted to get up. I knew when she wanted to eat because like I could like literally set 4 o'clock by her because she would start to literally like attack me. She would bark and she would carry on. I couldn't do shit until I fed her and shut her up. So it's wild our pets and how our even like I see birds and they fly south for the winter and stuff, and it's not like they have a conversation with each other. It's like, bro, wait, is it north for the winter? Whatever. Wherever they fly for the winter, okay, they don't like have a congregation. They're like, "Oh, should we do that for the year this year?" Like it just happens. So even though I want to use this point as a bit of a springboard into kind of like moving towards things that you actually want to do with your life, and same with me, like my life has changed dramatically since January, like dramatically. And so what I set for myself in January isn't realistic at all now. Because like dead set, if I set myself goals in January, my first goal would be just to like get through the year, like survive. Okay. I was not having a good time. Whereas now, like my life is completely different. So and when we move and we change, and especially if you're doing personal development work, you change so much, you move so quickly. Like the versions of yourself that were a month ago don't resonate with you anymore, and the things that you did 3 months ago aren't fun anymore, and they don't bring you the energy and the joy and the vibe and the whatever. So we don't need to keep doing them. This is what I love about doing personal development work. I think it is the most fun ever because of this exact reason. Like we can just let it go. Like it just doesn't serve us anymore. So we shouldn't worry about it. Okay. So I want you, as I said, to find a goal from January. Then I want you to actually like formally quit it. Be like, that does not align with me. I chose that because everyone else was, or because I thought away, or because I was a different person in January, or whatever. Get rid of it. It's gone, guilt free. So then I want you to replace it, or even just like with the energy of not thinking about that goal and not like kicking yourself because you haven't achieved it or you haven't taken steps towards achieving it. Okay, I want you to be like, well, okay, this is just like, we don't care about this. What are you going to do with that energy instead? Because let me tell you, when you like cut the guilt out of your life and then you're like, you know what, I don't want to do this, I am really happy with my life and I set this goal and this goal is actually making me like more miserable, and the stress and the pressure and all the things, like it's just not aligned. When you actually make a conscious effort to cut that and then like move forward, trust me, you will feel like $1,000,000. It is just a different energy. And then I want you to think what you will do with that energy instead. Okay, you have like a whole heap of physical and mental space now that you have gotten rid of things that don't align for you. Okay, and the universe is a vacuum. So the universe is going to bring stuff in whether you like it or not. So you may as well fill it with the stuff that you want. So fill it with the good stuff. So have a bit of a think about, take some time for yourself and actually just think about what you want to do. Like, what does the rest of 2026 look like for you? Okay, what do you want like this time in December when we're having this conversation together and you're like, I got rid of all the things and I still haven't quite found it, but I pivoted 4 times and that felt great. Perfect. Okay. That's what we want. That is the energy that I'm coming into. It's like if it doesn't align, it just doesn't align. And like I will chop and change my mind all the time. I know what I'm like. I have shiny object syndrome, aka ADHD, and I'm like something that feels really cool in the moment. And then like the thought of actually doing it, finishing it, gives me the biggest dopamine hit and has already served me. Okay. The actual doing of it to get there, I just have zero interest in pursuing. So I'm excited to do this activity today as well. And like I said, things changing dramatically in my life the way that they have. Shit's about to get real for me. And I'm so excited because it's about to be a big, juicy change. And as we know, juicy is the word of the month around here, Juicy July. Oh my God, I have to update you guys too. So I was not a well girl on Friday. So on Friday's episode, I was like, Juicy July is going to be like, starting on Saturday. And this is why you shouldn't, I bet you this was a lesson from the universe. Start dates are really like, they're like arbitrary. I could start around whatever. So Friday, I was going to go down to TGI Fridays, and because it was Friday, like, hello, TGI Friday, whatever. But I worked all day Friday, and then Friday I just felt really unwell, and I was like, well, I can't eat my chicken strips and my mozzarella sticks, living my best life if I feel this shitful. And I actually went to like push myself to go still. It's like, what am I doing? And so I got like, 10 minutes down the road, I was like, you know what, this is absolutely not it. So I turned around and then I went to Kmart and I bought a fluffy blanket. And then I went to Woolworths and I bought Sweeman noodles and Jats biscuits, which is what I eat, and icy poles when I get that kind of icky feeling. It's definitely Crohn'sy. It's like, yeah. And so I had the worst nausea. So I took my nausea tablets. I sat on the lounge and watched Love Island with, so who I'm staying with now, he's got the new housemate, which I spoke about. And we just kind of clicked straight away. He's the coolest dude. He's like 25, and I was watching Love Island. So the poor bastard. He and I hung out and watched Love Island together. And then he actually went out, and I was like, oh my God, no boys in the house. Get the whole house to myself. Like, this is just absolutely dreamy. So if I had to force myself to eat the food that I told myself and set the goal out to do, then I would have felt even worse, and probably, would have felt worse on Saturday. So the moral of the story is I was like, I couldn't have felt juicier on like Saturday. I felt good. I hadn't eaten all morning because I was like, no, I want to save my stomach room for my Yochi and my TGI Fridays, and drove down, and I had the best, like, and I say, like, I like to sit at this particular spot at TGI Fridays because it's like right in front of that Surfers Paradise sign. Like, if you've been here, or I mean, if you haven't, you've probably seen photos of it. It's like a landmark of Surfers Paradise. So I'm sitting there, like, front and center at my table, looking ahead, and I was doing stuff for the show, and I was, sipping on my post-mix Coke, and I was eating my chicken strips and my mozzarella sticks. Like, I couldn't have been a happier lady in that process. I was just like, this is the best. Okay, so that was juicy. So we love that. And then I came home, and then vegged out for the rest of the day, and it was awesome. Actually, no, not true. I went and bought some arts and crafts stuff from Kmart. Again, I've been to Kmart like a lot, but it's fine. And I got some decorations, and I got some like crafty stuff because I was like, I want to do something this weekend that's like just for my brain, just to chill, relax, and do all the things. Now, I literally did like a paint by numbers for like 10 minutes until I got bored of it. So whatever. But what I did do on the weekend, which segues perfectly into my next segment, and I've affectionately named this the finish line that wasn't mine. So I made a sign for so I have a group of family friends who I am not blood related to, but I call like the parents auntie and uncle, and we all call each other cousin, and we've grown up together. Like, most of these kids I've seen being born. So Shawnee, who is my cousin, and so him and three of his mates, and again, I've known them forever. So they're like just like the sweetest boys in the whole wide world to me. They're all up here as well doing the Gold Coast Marathon. So I was like, how fun would it be if I like made a sign and like stood at one of the checkpoints, and then I could like cheer them on and do all the things. Let me tell you what comes with being the biggest hype person for other people. I thought to myself, and this is no shade on them, right? They're 25-year-old boys. Like, it's absolutely nothing on them. I love them to pieces. And like, when I tell you how they reacted to me being there, like, this thought went out of my head. I went through a few like points where I was like, why am I doing this? Like, would they do this for me? Like, if I ran the Gold Coast Marathon, would like they be standing on the side, whatever. And then I was like, maybe I shouldn't have. Maybe I look a little bit like I'm the weird older cousin that comes and like hangs around the kids and whatever. And then because I also didn't get invited out to go out with the boys on Saturday night, look, I didn't want to go, but I just wanted to be invited. I was like, I'm the old lady that is like the boring one now. And I was almost like a bit sad about it. I was talking to Lloyd about this in the car on the way to TGI Fridays. And he said something to me that just made me feel so much better. And he said, like, first of all, if I went out with these kids and actually show them, like, I get called the raccoon when we go out all together, right? I can party with the best of them, and I'm the most fun in the whole wide world, the biggest vibe. So And the fact that, like, obviously I run 2 businesses, I now have this show, and I have a fair bit going on in life, okay? So Lloyd was like, "Well, you work so much harder in other ways, like, you go so hard in your life every single day that, like, there's no way they could keep that up." And I was like, "That's so true." Like, how cool is that perspective of, like, obviously I don't have the and not true. If I actually wanted to go out, and I will do this probably twice a year, and it's usually around my best friend's birthday, and I will, like, go out and I will get absolutely hammered and I will hate myself for the next 4 days because of it, okay? But in the moment, I have so much fun, and I dance and we listen to music and we're all together, and it's like we're kids again, and, like, it's the most fun. So, like, the 5-day hangover is actually so worth it because it's just the most fun in the whole wide world. So, why was I talking about that? Oh yeah. So I was like, you know what? That's so true. Like, I shouldn't be upset that the boys haven't invited me out. Like, I am Ayrton's manager at the end of the day. Like, he's out to go and pick up girls and do all of the things. And, like, who would want their 37-year-old manager hanging? Like, mind you, I am the coolest manager in the world, and I know he secretly loves me. But yeah, he obviously, and his friends do as well. I think I'm like, one of the cooler ones for sure. But, like, I wouldn't have enjoyed that. It would have been horrible. So instead, I got to, again, sit on the lounge, chill out, and watch Love Island, which was perfect because then I could get up and go to the marathon in the morning. Anyway, there was a point to that story. So I'm looking at these things, and because I have such FOMO, and now that I, like, actually think back at it, I reckon this is just like when I didn't get invited places by the cool kids. It was, like, really hurt my feelings because I was like, until kind of later on, like I said, I was a bit of a nerd, like, I had a bit of a loner, like, I had, like, a pretty small group of friends, even though I was sort of, like, I had a lot of acquaintances, I suppose, but not, like, a massive group of friends. So I was like, you know, I would always see the cool kids going out and doing all the things, and I'd be like, "Well, I didn't get invited to that." Like, I'm not cool. It's all these, like, childhood wounds that we have, right? So, anyway, I was like, would they do this for me? Would they, give up 2 hours of their Sunday to come down and cheer me on, do all the things and whatever. And I thought, you know what? That actually doesn't matter. Like, I get so much joy out of going and supporting people and doing all the things. That's just the person that I am. I absolutely love being there to, cheer people on and make them feel like they can do it and be that person that can hype you up when you kind of have that self-doubt. That's why I love coaching so much, because it's like I see the potential in people and I'm like, "Oh my god, if you just knew. Like, if you just knew how, like, unbelievable you are, like, you would be unstoppable." So, so when I made the sign, went to Kmart, like, got my, like, and it was actually the most fun as well on Saturday because I was sitting on FaceTime. So my best friend, she's really unwell at the moment. And this would normally be the time, if I was in Adelaide, that she'd be like, "Oh, do you mind coming to have Cody for the day," or something like that. And obviously because I'm not there. So we sat on FaceTime together for like a good 2 hours, and I was just making my sign for the boys, and Cody was playing with Play-Doh. And then I could, chat with Ben and chat with Casey and do the whole thing. And it was like we were there together. It was actually so wholesome. But it was so, yeah, it was so much fun. I was like so happy that, I could spend this time with her. And, I guess this is the other thing that's been the confirmation that I've needed to move, because I was like, I don't want to miss the kids growing up, and I don't want to not be there for these moments. And, even with Cody's childcare or daycare, whatever it's called, being shut down now for the next 2 months or something. So, like, my best friend is spiraling because she's like, "Shit, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I can't be there to help her right now." So, I'm like, I don't know. I've just had a really good idea pop into my head. I need to, like, not. Oh God, okay. I'm just gonna let that thought sink in because I need to follow that up as soon as I finish on here. So yeah, I was like, "I want to be there for you." And it was just, yeah, the best way that I could do that in the moment, because obviously she could go and just relax a little bit more, because yeah, Cody and I were literally on her iPad on FaceTime, and we were just chatting away while she was playing with her Play-Doh and I was making my sign. It was just super wholesome. Anyway, let's cut to the marathon. So I just found this really interesting. And so bear with me here. But the ASICS Gold Coast Marathon, right? So they had 42,000 people from 59 countries come to this marathon. Like, that is wild. Like, for people to congregate like that around an activity like running, like, wild. Anyway, so it's famous as Australia's fastest course because it's flat, fast, and beachside. So around 60% of runners scoring a personal best each year. So if you're like a marathon person and like you come to this marathon, you're probably in your head, you're like, okay, this is where we hit our PBs. This is like the flattest surface that we're running on. I feel like it would be quite inspiring to, or motivating, I should say, quite motivating. Um, so psychology has a name for what for what almost happened to me. Okay, I finally found a more scientific phrase than shiny object syndrome. So it's called goal contagion and mimetic desire. All right, I'm never going to remember that sentence ever again, but here we go. So we start wanting things because we watch other people want them, not because they are ours. So the research that matters. So self-concordance studies. So Sheldon and Elliott's work in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology shows goals aligned with your own values get more sustained effort and actually lift well-being when you achieve them. While should goals borrowed from the outside don't even hit, like when you get nothing basically when you hit these goals. Now, I don't know about you, but if my ass is training for a 42-kilometer marathon, and because it's not my goal, it's not going to feel that good. And because of what it would take me to become a 42-kilometer marathon runner, right, I would be bloody devastated. Devastated if I got to the end of that finish line and that wasn't the best I'd ever felt in my whole life. Now, I was watching these people, and you know what? Like the way they do it is so cool. Like, I put a reel up of it because I filmed the boys passing me because I was like, oh, who gives me the most love? And again, completely selfish. Like these guys are running a 42-kilometer marathon. Like it's actually not even about me. And I was like, let's see who's the most excited to see me. And I was like, God, get over yourself. Anyway, so I was filming them, and then I just met like these two ladies I was sitting next to, and it was just like fun little vibe. And then there was like a two-piece band playing next to me, and they were playing that song from The Lion King, and I was like, oh, 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 and I was just like singing along, and I was just like, you know what, this is the coolest thing ever. Like these athletes and these people that are like putting their bodies through this, and it was so devastating to see the people that like, collapsed from exhaustion or like vomiting on the side of the road and doing all these things. And I'm just thinking like, and again, I don't like running. I don't like, I just, yeah, I don't understand the people that love running, but I absolutely love that for them. And what I think I liken these people to like hill climbers. No, what are they called? No, not rock climbers. People that hike, like the people like, do Machu Picchu, for example, or like Everest or whatever. They always say, well, not always, I'm sure some of them hate their life, but from what I've heard, the like real diehards enthusiasts about this activity is that they love the journey up there. And what they love about the journey up there is that obviously it takes a whole lot of mental and physical and emotional and probably spiritual strength to keep going when it would be, especially when you're climbing a big ass hill, like just not to turn around and just roll back down. Like I cannot even imagine the conversations that you would have with yourself and then your higher self as well, whoever you believe in, where you're like, holy shit, it would be so much easier for me just to not do this. So I have all the respect in the world for people that do these endurance sports because they're like, yeah, after seeing what I saw yesterday at marathon and like seeing people pass out, vomit, like fall over and all the things, like it was a very mixed variety of people that were running through. So the first I was at, like I said, at the 36k mark, so they had 6ks to go, so there was a fair chunk of it over. And it was the last turn before they went back to finish up in wherever it finishes. It's not relevant. So this was kind of like and they were all like a heap of them, the earlier runners, because I got there earlier because one of the boys, Liam, he is like he's just the fastest runner ever. Like, and I got there and there were already people there, and I was like, wow, I thought running was like this super sprinter for these marathons, but he was doing unbelievable. And same with my cousin Shawnee as well. Like he is like, I always like joke and say that he actually, if he didn't expel all of the energy in his body, he would like vibrate because he's just got that much. He's got to do something all the time. So a sport like, well, and because he's had to quit footy because he's had too many hand injuries. So, you know, running is the best sport in the world for him. Anyway, so I got there really early. And then like I got there and people were already like crossing this 36K mark. And I was like, this is wild, like absolutely wild. So I'm standing there with my sign. And then I was like, yeah, like I wonder, like, should I have done this? Like, are they going to be like, oh my God, how embarrassing, like that she's standing there screaming for me and doing all the things. And I was like, oh God, this is like, maybe I should. Anyway, I was like, no, I've like come this far. Like, I'm not going to not now go and see them. So I stood at this one particular point. Now, Rennie was so dialed in that I was like screaming and I was like, Leah, Rennie, like, and he was like, he had his headphones in, he was dialed in. And yeah, he's like, I didn't even see it. Like, I saw him after. He's like, I didn't even see you. I'm so sorry. I was like, that's so fun. Like, here I am, like, trying to make it all about me, and you boys are fighting for life out there in the marathon. So then I moved to a different spot. And then Shawnee came past second, and he said, and I didn't hear him at the time because I was like trying to film and yell and encourage and do the whole thing. And so I was like, yeah, Shawnee boy. And apparently he came up to me and said, oh my God, I'm so sick. I've just thrown up everywhere or something like that. And so I didn't hear any of that. So I was just like, yeah, go Shawnee. So yeah, and then, but you know, he was waving at me and he had such a smile on his face. I was like, okay, cool. Like, this is cool. Now, the boys were quite separated because they're all different, like have different running times and stuff. So I was there for probably an hour overall. And then Mitch was next. And so I saw, like, Mitch actually spotted me before I spotted him. And because the app's really cool. Like, you get a notification when they get to like each 5 kilometer mark. So I knew as soon as they hit the 35K mark that they would be coming by soon. So I was like watching, because like comprehending that amount of people like at once, I was like, God, I'm like, I don't want to miss them. So you should see me. I was locked in. It's the most focused I've been in forever. So I'm like locked in. And Mitch spotted me before I spotted him. And then I saw his face light up and I was just like, oh, I was like, go Mitchy, go Mitchy. And like waving my sign around, doing all things. And then he's running towards me and gave me a big hug. And I was like, oh, beautiful boy. And then yeah, off he went. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, it's been good me being here. And then Brownie came past as well, and same deal. He ran past, big smiles, big waves. And so yeah, cheering and harping and the whole thing. So then I left after that, and then came back to the apartment. After I went and bought all of my stuff for the studio, and then I got a FaceTime call from the boys, and they were so grateful that I was there and so thankful. And they, you know, and Mitch was like, you made me cry. He said, I just needed to see you then. It was like the last push that I needed to keep going because I was ready to give up. And I was like, how cool is that? Like, how cool that I was able to be that person that was like, just give them the last little push. So then when I was talking to the ladies next to me, and I was just like, I almost kind of like want to train for this and come back next year. But instead, if they do it, which I'm sure they will do it again next year, I feel like I would love to come here purely just to be a hype queen. And, you know, I even thought after, like, I should have bought some Powerades and some like energy gels or like whatever. But again, I just, you know, I've never watched people run a marathon, wouldn't know the closest thing I've come to a marathon in my life is like the City to Bay in Adelaide, and that's like I think 12K. And I've only done that, completed that once. Did I do full 12? Yeah, I did all 12. I've done it once, and I was like, I don't really like. I'm not feeling overjoyed with amazingness right now because I used it as a social event. So, you know, typical. So I was able to kind of learn 2 lessons from that yesterday, which was so cool because one, I was able to recognize and understand that even the thought of, you know, finishing a 42-kilometer marathon and doing all of the things, the thought of that, even the thought doesn't feel that great because I know the training it will take and the, you know, whatever. And again, I've never really enjoyed running, and maybe because I don't know how to do it, like, you know, if I had a running coach, and this just gives me more thing, like if I had a running coach that taught me how to run properly, because I know that there's a way, like a proper way to run, maybe I would. And so this again is like, if you have a skill, you can monetize your skill. And I am like secretly working on something in the background for you guys. I created a freebie from last week's podcast episode because it was actually one of the most watched and then re-downloaded shows I've done so far. And that was about how to start a small business and which businesses have the most money and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to create something for anybody who's interested in starting something on the side and bringing in some extra cash. I'm going to give you all of the marketing stuff that I know in a super easy to use format, because that's, like the acronyms and shit that comes with marketing is a nightmare. Anyway, so yeah, I was like immediately able to recognize in that moment that I was just caught up in the energy and the whirlwind and the hype of being there and in the environment, and the idea to me that I could be there to support the boys I love so much, and be the reason that they felt that little kick towards the end, and be the reason that maybe they didn't give up, and things like that to me feels so much better than the thought of running 42 kilometers. So I was really fun to recognize in myself that it was absolutely nothing to do with the activity and completely to do with the feeling. And the fact that I almost convinced myself not to go because, like, how embarrassing, like, your older cousin shows up and is screaming your name and has the ugliest sign in the world. Now, my artistic skills, like 1 out of 10. But I had so much fun making it, and I was like, this is cool. I got my creative juices flowing, and it was colorful and it was pretty and it was bright and, whatever. I'll put up a photo if you haven't seen it already. And then, being able to sit on FaceTime with my goddaughter for that long and just chit chat and just have a super chill, wholesome Saturday. It was everything I could have wanted from it. And again, I went into doing that thinking all about myself and, how will they react to seeing me, and like how exciting, and it's just like, or like, what's their reaction going to be to me, and making it. I even filmed like a clip because I made a full reel out of it. I was actually like, oh, let's see who responds to me the best. I was like, oh my God, like, these guys are running 42 kilometers and they're like, six, no, 70% through. Oh shit, I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, they didn't have long to go through this run. Like, get over yourself. And that really made me realize that, like, what energy was I doing it from? The energy of like being able to, get love from these kids and like for them to react a type of way that I wanted to react? Or was it because I literally love to inspire and motivate and be there for people? And to, get the reaction and the thanks that I did after. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I thought about not going. Like, what on earth? So I really want you to think about any goals that you set. Make sure they're yours, okay? Because if you cross that finish line and you've put all of the effort into it and you don't get that fulfillment, or you even on the journey along the way, you're not getting that fulfillment to what kind of like something that is meant to be a passion that you're meant to feel, like, it's not meant for you. Like, it's absolutely not meant for you. And you really should try and do something different that is in alignment. And that's why I went and got some, paint by numbers, and well, actually it was color by numbers, but and different kind of creative little things that I could do, because, even here, because I've got an office on level 2 of this building and my studio is in here, and, I'm kind of spending a lot of my time up here. So there's no commuting time for me. I'm work from home mostly anyway, but again, if I were to go out to meetings, they would be in Adelaide. So I don't have far to go. So I've got all of this kind of like extra time, and that's what I want to make sure I'm dedicating to the right activities and the right things. And because otherwise, again, if you create this space in your life, the universe will fill it for you one way or another. So you may as well fill it for yourself, and just have the most fun doing it. So just make sure when we're doing our little mid-year reset, that you are doing it from your place of, yes, this is actually going to make me feel good, or yes, this is something I can see myself at the end. And again, if you haven't listened to Friday's episode where Mum took me through smart goal setting, the way that she broke it down and the way that we kind of chatted it through was even really, like, I knew what she was going to say already, but I still got so much value out of doing it. So I think, if you're looking to set a goal, jump back on and listen to that one from Friday. And we're going to be doing that every single Friday. So we're calling Follow Through Friday. So we can do a bit of a check-in and see kind of how we're going. And again, the energy isn't like, well, why haven't you done anything about that? The energy is just like, okay, cool. why haven't you done anything about that? Like, are you just not vibing that anymore? Or is it, this, and this? So coming at it from the energy of curiosity, as opposed to being like, oh God, I've started something again and haven't finished it again. And the whole, ew, that's not what we're doing. Okay. So to wrap up this episode here, basically, as I said, this is the quietest week of the year, in terms of like, even with what the moon is doing. Okay, the moon, we've got the new moon next year, so the moon's getting smaller and smaller. We've lived and dealt with our coldest, longest day of the year, no, night of the year, shortest day, and like the deepest part of winter, and like this truly, according to all the astrology and all of the energy coaches and experts out there, like this is the week. Like this is going to be a massive transitional week for everybody. So in terms of like way that the moon works, and I'm going to touch briefly on this because I'm certainly no expert, but I get a lot of really cool kind of, I don't know, the vibes when I think about this again, because it's like if I have every, piece in my arsenal of how to best, live my best life, I'm going to use it. And the energy of the moon is one of those things. So in terms of the moon work, so a waning moon, which is what we're at the moment, is the release phase. So reflecting, reviewing, and letting go. So like I said, even if you're not super woo woo and don't love this, this week is like, you can understand that this week is absolutely made for a restructure and reflection week. So the science holds up the ritual as well. So a review of 200 plus journaling studies found reflective writers report better mental health, sharper focus, and a 42% jump in goal achievement. Like 42%, that is wild. And oh God, I don't know how to say this one. Pennebaker's classic research, Pennebaker's. Oh God, I'll put it in the show notes. Writing about your experience for just 15 to 30 minutes a few times over a month measurably improves mental and physical well-being, and weekly written check-ins keep goals live and adjustable instead of vague. So intention setting guidance converges on the same number, 3 to 5 intentions max. Okay, enough to guide and not overwhelm. So I am the living, breathing, embodying version of setting too many things, because I think I can knock all of the things over at once. So I would love for you to sit with yourself and just kind of think like, and maybe try and do it like in like one word, like how did last week actually feel? And is there a word you want for this week? And what's the one thing you're leaving in the first half of 2026? And what's the one intention you're carrying into this week? So I think it's really important that we, again, understand and empathize and really give ourselves the best like pat on the back for how well we've done up until this point, and how potent and powerful a realization of, you know what, the reason why I can't stick to this goal is because it absolutely is just not even in alignment with me. Like I don't even care about it that much. That there's the reason I'm not checking in and doing it. So there is something super powerful in that, because you are coming at it from like, well, I'm not making myself feel guilty. I'm not beating myself up for it. I'm not doing any of those things. And what I love, and I've never really thought of it this way until this year, and purely because I was doing research for the show, when I was like, well, we're at the halfway point. So yes, it's technically in our conscious minds like a reset time, or like a, new year, new me kind of situation, but without all of the pressure, because besides end of financial year, we don't really see a lot of that kind of seasonal thing around us as much. So like, obviously we've got tax time and stuff like that. And that can be, where you get some money back and spend some stuff. But again, if you go into this tax year the same as you did for last tax year, like things are going to look the same. So I really encourage you to take even just half hour for yourself. And gratitude is the other practice that I have been leaning back into quite dramatically, because I just well, like I said, like my serendipitous path I'm on right now, where like everything and everyone and every occasion and every situation and every circumstance at the moment, like it just feels like it's absolutely 1,000% aligned for me right now. So I'm going to continue to run with that feeling and that kind of path, like if I know that this is what it feels like when I'm aligned and doing the things that I'm meant to be doing versus how I felt for the last 37 years of my life. No, not true. Some, there obviously have been points where I've been like, locked in and I'm aligned and this is what we're doing. Okay. But yeah, I know the feeling of not being aligned. So yeah, I think it's really cool now to kind of remind myself, and because I haven't felt this feeling in such a long time, that it's super not like, yeah, it's either super aligned with me or it's not. And I actually get quite a visceral feeling of that. Like I can feel it in my whole body. Yeah, it's really hard to explain. It's absolutely wild. So yeah, I hope that you know what that feeling is like for yourself. And yeah, if you're not feeling that right now, again, take that as a sign to kind of let's course correct and let's kind of see what we're going to spend the last 6 months doing of this year. So that we know when hopefully you and I are having this chat again at the end of the year in December. And yeah, this show's done well and I've reached a lot of people and I've been able to help a lot of people. And, I've talked about topics that are relevant and help people grow and make more money and do all the things. Like, that's my intention that I'm setting for the next 6 months in particular. And, it was evident again to me after the weekend of how much joy I get out of like, you know, like not so much inspiring people, but like making people feel like really, really good and cheering on for people and giving people confidence and stuff. Like that is my whole game in life, is being able to do that. So on that as well, so this is segued perfectly again. So because like I said, my most watched episodes and my most re-downloaded episodes are about about business or less starting a business and the whole thing. So what I'm actually going to do is I need to like sort of work out when it's going to work best for like, continuity and flow, because I know that not everyone that is going to listen is going to be interested in starting a business or marketing advice to market their business. But I have so many things in my brain that I could literally, you know, I could literally tell you in a word vomit, and it would be a way for you to market your business in a certain type of way. And yes, thank you, Mum. So we need to make sure we add fun into our goals as well. So obviously there's going to be tough times with our goals. But yeah, it also really has to be fun because joy is an enchantment and like the highest vibrational frequencies we can feel. So if we're feeling joy and all of the things, like even in the tough moments, that's the most powerful part. So we need to make sure that we're definitely feeling that as we, create these goals for ourselves. So yes, if you are either interested in starting a business or you have a small business, and this I think will work really, really well for those of us with online businesses, or I mean, there are also product-based businesses that this will help as well. But this is absolutely for my startup gals. Okay. I want you to either monetize a side hustle, or I want you to monetize, your genius and monetize your creativity. And yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited for what I'm going to create for you all, because I would love everybody to have access to something that is theirs. And also, I will say that it is such a good thing to do and have and to, be obsessed with, because we've got something that we're directing our energy towards. So let me give you the best example I can think of, like right now. So instead of, like, tell me how this feels. Instead of beating yourself up for something that you're not doing, okay? So say you set a goal at the start of the year to, and I'm just going to use weight because I feel like it's probably the biggest resolution of us all. We're like quit smoking and quit drinking and lose weight. So you set a goal to lose weight this year. At New Year's, that was your resolution. Okay. You did the gym membership thing. You started going and you were like, like 5 days a week, doing all the things, eating all the right things, whatever. And then, bit by bit, that started to taper off. And then you're like immediately in the guilt zone of like, shit, like I said it again and I've done all these things, like whatever. And then obviously that's much of a vicious cycle, because then, I mean, I'm emotional eater, like massively emotional eater. So like food has always been a bit of a coping mechanism for me. So, what I found with having this show, actually, as well as when I first started my business, it was like somewhere for me to go and something for me to do that is absolutely self-serving. It is the best thing that I could do for my future self. And it is something that I am just like, every time I think about it, I'm excited, and it's like the most fun, and I like learning new things and the whole thing. So I truly, actually, the other part of this thing about business as well is that any insecurity you have in your life will be amplified by a gajillion when you have a business. Okay. So if you think you have a fear of posting on social media now, you wait till you have a business. Okay. And then you're posting on your business page, and the thoughts that go into all of that. So I've lived it, and I continue to live it day to day, and I surround myself with people that have gotten over that, and their businesses have done all of the things in the world, because I want to embrace that. And again, we look at these people and it's like, I could do that. Like, I could absolutely do that. And what are the tools that I need right now in order to, one, either show myself some proof that I can do that, or two, I can find evidence somewhere else, or I can take a next step that will give me that feeling as well. So they're really, really powerful ways to utilize things outside of ourselves, because at the end of the day, all of this stuff, to be successful with doing anything, like, all has to come within. Okay. You need to have that self belief. You need to have that tenacity. You need to have that sort of like killer spirit where you're like, no, this is what I want, and I'm going to chase after it. I'm not going to let a hurdle stop me. I'm not going to, like, the first sign of, a hill, I'm not going to be like, oh no, this is too hard. Okay. Because I know, again, this is like a mental version of like climbing Mount Everest, I feel, because it's super easy just to stop. Right? Like, you start a business and you start posting content online and you start doing this, and maybe you didn't get the launch you wanted, and you didn't have the orders that you wanted, and all of these things, and it's easy just to quit, right? But one, that's not going to make you feel any better unless it truly isn't aligned for you, and you started it because some blonde chick on a radio show told you that you should start a business for fun, right? That would be me. But you're actually doing it because it's something that you are passionate about. So I've and there's no such thing as saturation in any market. I just want to flag that as well, because if you, for example, are obsessed with candle making, or you like, you think you might enjoy that, that's something that you think that you would find enjoyable to do, and then let me tell you what will happen. You will, anytime you go on social media, you'll see a candle maker, anytime, and then all of a sudden you'll start noticing it, because it's like what we've put in our brains to focus on, right? And then in your head, you'll be like, oh, there's no point starting, because there's already, a million other candle makers on social media or in the world or whatever. So there's really no point in me doing it. That is the little nudge from the universe that it's just like, yes, like, do this. Because if you don't feel a type of way when you see content like that, or you kind of experience in the wild, like, seeing all these things additionally, that is a sign that if it affects you and it starts to become like a bit stretchy, and you're like, oh my God, I'm seeing this everywhere, like, oh my God, that actually means that that is the work that you need to do to overcome that, to become successful in that. Because if you decided you want to start a candle business tomorrow, and then you start seeing it online everywhere, and then you walk in the shops and the first thing you see is the candles, and you're just like, oh, whatever, that is a sign that you're not super married to the goal, or you're not super interested in pursuing that as a income earning hobby. Okay. There's, like, I don't know the number of people in the world. There are a bunch of people. Now, every single person on this planet could make, and I'm using candles just as a example here, every single person on this world can learn how to make a candle. Every single one of us. Okay. Now, you need to think about biopsychology and why you buy the things that you do from either the stores or the people or the whatever that you buy them from. It is very likely because you fall in love with their content, you like them as a person, you enjoy consuming their content online, they're friends of yours, you want to support their business, right? There are so many opportunities to connect with people, and it's like, the saying, I've heard that saying 1,000 times, and then that one person tells you, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, obviously, so I really want you to, instead of being like, well, this means I need to give up, like, I've seen it everywhere, whatever, actually it's the opposite. That is your cue to be like, okay, cool, like, I am emotionally invested in this goal, I am emotionally invested in seeing this through and bringing this to life, and this actually does mean something to me, so I'm going to lean into whatever underlying fear I've got, as to why that wouldn't work out and work on that. And if you literally just did that one step, like your life would change dramatically. Okay. The success that you see would be unbelievable just by that one step. Okay. Because this is the part where quite a lot of people give up because it's, it just gets hard. And then you start seeing it everywhere and you're like, well, everyone's already done it. Like it's product saturation. It's just absolutely not the case. Okay. So be mindful today, have a bit of a reset this week. Maybe try and like lay a little bit low this week too. And kind of like, we're not a big out there and broadcasting week. This is going to be a chill week, in the skies. So let's reset our goals. And like I said, for my small business gals or anyone looking to monetize their creativity, I've got some cool stuff coming your way. I've actually did my first freebie little thing last week, and just about like, what was I talking about? Oh, about where you can start earning money literally today. So you can go ahead and check that out. And then, yeah, I'm going to be coming in again. I'll pick a particular day because I just want to kind of focus all my energy on that day. And then, yeah, we can talk about it. We can make sure I can support you and we can create new things and do all the things. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you have a beautiful Monday, and I will see you guys same time, same place tomorrow. Bye.